One day I'm going to tell you the saddest story that I've ever known in my entire life. And it's the story of an egg. And it's the story of an egg and its name. And the name of this egg was called, in this case, American. Because I have no other choice of what you name an egg. And most times you get no choice of what you have to call an egg or what you name an egg, or even its sex and its type or anything like that. So it's just one of those sad stories of regret and never knowing anything or any certainty. And that's the kind of sad story that begins out to be. But before I get ahead of myself, I should probably discuss the rules of fair plays that you may or may not know. There was once this girl that was in love with me for reasons I don't understand. Usually the prime initiative of ensuring the best outcome for said whatever egg. And as soon as it seems as stupid seems as basic as it needs to be in order to ensure, well, good things or better things, or at the very least what you require to sustain some kind of life within what your desired best outcomes are, besides arms and legs and some kind of a mentality for someone who will always be primalistically an appetite that includes their very selves or their very will. So by the end of it, the insurance is creed but good and bad can imply. But by the end of it, I wonder why even me? Why did you choose me of all those things? Because I'm a very bad egg? Because I'm a very naughty egg? And after a while, it's like on the scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably closer to the other side of the gamut of bad eggs. And I'm just like, you picked me. And secretly, I'll never tell them why. I'll never tell them why you chose me. I'll never told them why it's probably the best to ensure some other things in humanity, but it's just one of those fucking things where for the states and the rules of fair play, I'll give you an opportunity to understand why I'm probably not the best egg for you or anyone to just fucking pick. And there was once this girl named Cynthia, and for all normal reasons and all normal facades, we'll say that her name is Cynthia instead of her normal real name. Now, for what the fuck, I don't know why she picked me. And then even if I sit there and I'm like, I very much question, and even for an egg and even for all normal purposes, you should always question it, because it's not like you live in this premonitious world where you have to deal with the fact that, like, oh my god, they automatically knew. Why was I right for them? No. They fucking argued. They fucking slaved over it. They fucking brutalized themselves beyond the meaning and comprehension of modern day convention in order to come up with the concept of you and me and that thing likey to eat. That motherfucker likey to eat. I likey to eat. So by the end of it, you come up with that for all of the eggs that she could have been picked, she picked this one, and she is a bad bitch, and she's beautiful and all those things that come with being an egg bearer or being an egg beastress or whatever the fuck that this bitch is. But by the end of it, one crazy fucking bitch, because I don't even know how the fuck she got my egg. So by the end of it, I loved her, and her name and our egg's name was America. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't even know how the fuck she picked me. And it still to this day shocks me. It's just like, what the fuck would you pick a fucking vicious minority, or is the likely outcome to be like between me and you and like an Irish egg or something would have probably been a fucking better choice. If I were you, I'd have chosen an Irish one. But I don't know what the fuck you saw in me other than a vicious amount of contemptuous behavior. But for reasons just to give you insight on it, she was a vicious American girl. And by which I mean she was perfect to harbor my kind of egg. And she was a tom girl, was born not really of a tree house, but was the tree house type of person. And all of these things would come into play for making such a mortality like my own. And I'm not talking about just, physically and makeup, but in mortality, metaphysically and spiritually, and embodied by and embodied to all the things that made me such a strong character, classic type of person for what I think somewhere in the back of her dark mind intended me for. And I'm still kind of like, Jesus Christ, lady, I don't even think you or the end of the fucking world requires me damn near. And I'm not the end of the world, but damn near. And it's just kind of like, goddamn, I can't even believe it's so natural to produce such kind of a thing, but that would be altogether a whole nother story to give it all unraveled. And that, my friends, would be some kind of a silk egg or textile planted fucking egg. And we're nowhere near that part of the vision of this story. So later on down the road, my egg was handed off to someone else who, I don't know, serves the purpose better or whatever for some reason or another. And she went her own way. She decided to go with someone else that was a little bit more fun, a little bit more casual, a little bit more of her feel or whatever. And for some reason, I don't even know why she still harbors this egg, protects it, or even indulges her in surviving with it just to see the rest of the story go. But goddamn, I wish she would just leave it the fuck alone rather than just harbor it for what she knows about it. Because even sometimes I'm just sitting there like, wait, what do you have to do with it? Like, you were lovely and I'd love your egg back in the right place. But by the end of it still would be like, what does love have to do with it? Weren't you tactically thinking anyways? Wasn't this egg right for you just because you were a particularly crazy bitch? And then by the end of it, you lost the things that made you such a lady to carry this type of fucking egg. And I still am just I can't even believe you gave it off to the other chick. What, to see me in lesser opportunities to provide that type of goal? Well, it's not like I have control over that. I was a crazy egg before you got there, bitch. And so on and so forth. See, love is complicated, and being fucking conniving, evil, manipulative, or any of the things that you have to do to sneak a fucking weapon into this fucking womb and then come the fuck out as a vicious fucking predator, I don't fucking know. And it's not like I wanted to eat anything. I had a certain goal in mind. And we're not even talking about me and virality, but sometimes things give way to in life that that evil little thought that I had that made me feel warm and safe was something that you were interested in. I had no fucking idea. And that the girl's name would be Cynthia. And you had the fucking nerve to tell me. And you had the nerve to tell me that it was that warm little feeling that I felt from being evil and safe. Well, shit, motherfucker, I can't even believe you found the girl for me. And yes, she was a tomboy or whatever. And eventually she would have to hand over my egg to someone else, which was a sad forfeit for me, but also a sad forfeit of like, well, shit, I was too lucky anyway. So that bitch was fucking hot. And she was fucking beautiful. And I'm like, God, her fucking warm little inner cadaver must have been fucking good as hell, because I must have been so formidably comfortable with what the hell that I knew about her, because I was like over gratified, and I was like, God damn, an ugly evil little motherfucker should have like a womb not so fucking comfortable. And I'm like kind of evil and pretty, and she's kind of like an all-American strong little girl. And I'm like, I don't know where the fuck we thought or where we got off thinking whatever the fuck this was, but it was like paradise. It was like, who the fuck gave me a womb of paradise and shit? But then, you know, later down, face trade hands, and like she ended up going with the type of guy that I thought she should have been with. And in fact, I recommended him all along the way to see if it was something that she would like, you know, be more comfortable with, set her free, give her a good life. And now all the while, I didn't know she was kind of only a tad bit slutty, but she's a slutty for a certain type of men, and I fit that profile. And I wanted to see if she could handle something a little bit more forensically normal for her type, in her country. And I was just like, this bitch is crazy. Like, you were trying to give birth to a war weapon and shit, you crazy bitch. Like, this bitch's womb was all ready to give birth to the next generation of warsmiths. And I was like sitting there and I was thinking, this bitch is fucking crazy to pick me as a fucking egg. But I don't know, whatever. But at least she eventually gave up on that shit and passed me off to an even crazier and an even more normal fucking womb. And I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, she gave me off to some Russian German chick, and I was just like, oh, you sick, twisted bitch, I love you so much. And then she like passed me off to that bitch, and I was like, well, at least hopefully she got like a really chill American dude out of it. So I ended up trading her and this American chill ass dude for her womb, and then like I think she went off to be lucky. Why she still obsesses about me a little bit, I don't fucking know. Maybe she just likes the fucking story, and like, fuck it, I don't really do this for story, because when you start to piece together the idea of like, holy shit, this motherfucker is actually completely like kind of like the term to the hitman, like kind of insane with the little fucking squinched off mustache. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, eggs gotta be eggs. And I didn't know that my little warm evil spot was so fucking popular. And by the end of it, I didn't know that there was gonna be so many like things like hosting my early appetite and demise and shit. And I'd eat my way out of that womb old school style if I fucking could, but I don't really know if that's always the best thing to do, especially for someone who seems so particularly interesting. And it's like, you know, when the kid kicks on your fucking stomach and it's just kind of like, I'm not sure whether this bitch is solid or fake, and like whether I'm going to get out of this thing or not with what I was supposed to be grand of life based upon this theory. Now, for when you're innocent, you think, oh yeah, like, you know, why the fuck would they want a monster in the fucking world and shit? And after a while, it's just like, you know what, the world ain't no fucking pussy, and blah, 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 and this is how we're supposed to get shit done. And like, you know, you're supposed to have some fucking beliefs in life, so you should be burned with a fucking weapon, and like, you know, whatever the fuck. But in the end, it's still kind of like, goddamn, I can't believe the world need evil monsters like this to clean up after their fucking work. And I just am so severely lucky, and eventually they are too, that like, wow, like I'm one of those little eggs that would actually like give birth to itself, sacrifice itself, and clean up on his way out without even giving a shit about this here life. So the word I learned was called sacrifice. And that's how I started to learn these little words. And then the word bounced off of the person bigger than me, and then the world bigger than it, and then their real nurturing and things that they cared about in life, and the word gone unnoticed like any other word. The word sacrifice, or what they call parenthood and things like that. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like that's how crazy something theoretically can be born that way, for lack of the other word that I should have used. And it was weird too, because like you'll always think that life is playing a trick on you or betraying you, and it's kind of true, because it was like, why the fuck was I addicted to her womb? Like, is that just the only psycho bitch that could hold me or something? And she wasn't even really a psycho. She was just really like, you know, a liberated fucking patriotic bitch. Like, to give birth to like something that is so morally, consciously determined at certain things that it would only give birth to something so futile as to know the word like weapon and sacrifice, hate, love, planet, and escaping the outer stratosphere. And these are things that are just kind of like, goddamn, like you are already planning your next fucking planet. You're not even fucking born yet, and you got like a fucking plan for us and shit. And then by the end of it, like, you know, you forced her to hand over her womb to another woman, and I'm just kind of like, goddamn, you little fucking evil thug motherfucker. Like, what is this here plan? And all of that born throughout life with the evil whim of feeling safe and warm off of just a little tiny piece of evil thought that I have. Do you know what that does to a man's intellect when you're sitting there and you're like, really? And you're like going through all your thoughts and you're like, that's a little piece of evil. Why did you keep that, God? Why'd you keep that life? Why'd you keep that reality? Oh, no, 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 you're putting that in a girl. Whoa, 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 why is she in love with that thought? Oh, fuck, oh, god damn it. And then you see life, like, slowly giving birth to this unconscionable thought that you had, and you're just like, oh, god, that you mean that is my mortal instinct? Oh, fuck. And I just felt warm and safe for like a fucking second. And now this baby is gonna be fucking born. And it's gonna be my sheer will to want to dominate things in my secrecy. Not even my actual honest upfront life with everything I treated good, everything I didn't lie, cheat, or steal about doesn't even fucking matter. You mean that unconscionable evil motherfucking thought is all that matters? And then she hands over her womb to the other fucking, you know, strong ass German Russian chick. And she speaks English, but she like fucking has like this horribly strong, cripplingly naughty, sexy accent of like, what are you going to do? And this is how I wanted to make on my plan. And she sounds like an evil henchman's fucking accent of like a fucking sexy chick. And I'm just like, I can't even believe you handed my egg off to her, but damn it, you're right. And I think my egg tricked you into it because it knew like its odds of survival with you were going to be not weaker, but stronger, but it's still going to be like not as manipulative as what it takes to hide, because that bitch did not want to hide my egg. She wanted that egg to be, fully out and about. She wanted that thing to to sing evil hatred to the world in some fucking, English fucking way that is just not done in this fucking country. And I was like, oh, thank God. And she was traded in some evil womb. Now, I know all of this sounds like crazy shit and doesn't make any fucking sense, but one day it might, and one day it's still one of those things where, like, I look at life and I'm like, this is unfucking believable. I can't even believe that this is the egg that just keeps getting recycled and born of all the things that I could have been thinking and all the things that girls could have been thinking behind the playbook. And, like, you know how guys are used to, like, looking and turning behind their back and be like, I think that bitch is cheating or blah, blah, blah. That's like their hint at, like, oh, we just want some fucking privacy, or you wouldn't be surprised what's going on behind your back is about you anyway, and it's about how much we want to unsanctimoniously care about you. And some men just don't like being thought of or cared about or whatever the fuck. Not that I give a shit, but it's just one of those fucking things. And they're like, the reasons I don't is probably because of this. And I'm just like, that little piece of evil, you little devil bitch. Ugh, I love you, you little sick, sexy, ill bitch. You sick bitch. And, like, by the end of it, I don't understand it, because it's like, it's funny because you want to call her a sick bitch, but it's kind of like, damn, you did that bullshit out of safety. The type of safety eggs, and I'll tell you, somebody told me a secret as men a long time ago. He was like, stay away from that word called safety. And it's kind of true, because you don't think about it that fucking often. You're generally safe. Or the things that make you evil, sick, and dreadful of a person to want to protect yourself enough to actually think about, buying arms and holding up your brigades and doing all these little fucking technical things that you don't have to do unless you're in stress or extreme moments, or unless it's just some kind of fascism that you have to hold up for an extent of life. You sit there and you realize, like, this is fucking it. Like, it's another stack up, or, I'm down here pecking at them and each other for no fucking real reason. And you likey these shit. And like, by the end of it, like, it's funny too, because, like, every once in a while I'll talk like my former boss, and I'll be like, you likey that shit, don't you? And then one day my kid's gonna be born, I'm gonna look at him and be like, you likey that bullshit, don't you? Here's some ice cream. You likey that fucking chicken, don't you? And it's like, I'll try to raise him vegan. I'll try to do my vegan shit. I'll try to do all that bullshit to avoid more harm in life. But somehow, whenever you sit there and you think life doesn't want any harm or evil bullshit, you realize that you get one of them scorned ass kids that's, like, pissed off at the last motherfucker that tested it in the last life, and it punished it. And then when you get in, or when it gets in life, it's looking at you and it be like, you likey that bullshit, don't you? And it be like, and it looks at you and it's like, yeah, daddy, I likey that bullshit. And it's like, you just finished having to motherfucking torment some motherfucker who started shit with you, and you had to punish him, and you have to be your own fucking parent, and you didn't like that bullshit, so here's some ice cream and a fried chicken. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's weird too, because the other motherfucker in the last life, no one knows to this day why he did it. But he started shit with you purposely to be a fucking little girl, or to get his ass beat so he could go be in a weaker position in life, because he does not like leadership. He has a problem with being a leader. He has a problem with leadership goals. And he just does not want to be a leader of fucking shit nothing. And he purposely threw away the fucking fight. And it's just like, we don't know why he does this. And we don't even know why he popped shit with you. But he did, and then went to a new fucking life. And it's just like, oh my God, you like being a little bitch. Hold on, wait, you like being a little bitch. And the pussy is good. And you're like, you're into that. You're into getting your ass kicked, and you're into getting pecked on. You're into getting, like, fucking licked and bitten and fucked with and twisted and, like, and savaged and sacrificed and scarred and mortified and all of those fucking things. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, you really don't want to be on this planet Earth type of shit. And then that pretty much changes his dimension to some other fucking place and puts him very far away from our universe and our planet. And I'm like, damn, this dude really savagely hates us. And then next thing you know, I want to be a little bitch and get my ass kicked and get destroyed too. Because I'm just like, where is it at? Like, bruh, whatever the secret is, you got it, and I want to know, and I'm willing to die. And you're like, and then you go and you figure out, and you're just like, oh, you just like hate this fucking shithole, and like, I see what you're into. And it's like, you put it this way, you seem like the world is so small that it's just the beginning of a story that you've already lived, so your terror is so high that you have to get destroyed high enough to even find your old body. And I'm like, you so fucking crazy, but that's okay. And I still be like, oh, the gift of life. And we have to call that the gift of life for crazy ass sacrificial men who are like, oh, we all saw the secret that it takes a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears to make anything good or worth a damn. And I'm like, oh wow, you gave me the gift of life and shit. I'm not saying it was that exact person if you know him or whatever, but it's one of those things where like all of that pays off for something isn't always the principle of what these people have earned or how they learned how to get a life loser. And I'm just like, well, yeah, to stop losing things, because you don't need to lose things to find me and him or to find out why this other one just keeps making silk pepper and pepper spraying every obnoxious motherfucker that tries to get close to my eggs or whatever the fuck. It's just a weird principle of life of like, oh, I got one near my egg, and then you just keep fucking beating shit up, and then like, oh, it's near his egg, let me take care of that for him. Oh, looks like it's close enough to his egg. Oh, dies in the insummation, and so on. The coronation continues somewhere else. Like, these are things that are facets of some beyond mortal life, and it's like, whether you know it or not, why I explain these things, I do and I don't, because I'm not one of those people that leaves things to mystery. I'm also not one of those people that like would leave my kid with nothing. Now, nothing was explained to me because I had a very old school dad who was kind of like, you know, well, you're going to learn all this bullshit. And then I realized that 99% of it is a scam, except for the fact that you were a loving parent in some ways, but you just didn't want to explain shit like how 99% of the world was going to fucking scam me, or why you were a little bit in on the scam too, other than that you just wanted me to see it for what it is, that it's just one little fucking ride in a million different rides that we all have to have the opportunity to ride, and you don't take too much faith out in it for what it is. But I think that I was given to that man because I'm the complete polar opposite, and I'm like a savage little saver egg that I'm like, all right, this one last punch I'm saving for the infinity of the fucking world, and I'll destroy anyone in my way except for 99%. And like 99% would be like, oh, there's only one guy better than me, then everyone else is dead, and second best will have no fucking regrets, and I don't even care about the smell of his ass. Like, I don't even notice. And that's how bad it is to know that there's no enemy with the other consciousable monster that's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't smell like that to me. And then after a while you start to realize, like, oh my God, these instinct predators will always realize that they're just comfortable with the last guy's ass smell, and they don't even care because they're not following each other around and doing mindless fucking work. They're actually somehow consciously staying comfortable within their predatorial domicile and shit. And it's just kind of like, yep. And it's like, it's not like they personally or consciously do it. It's just something that is just like, hey, you know what, I agree. And then another idiot gets in line. It's like, you're one of ours. And like, join the army. Join the army of like, that doesn't smell like bullshit. And then she like, yeah, but like, let's get back to the fucking point. She gave me off to this fucking German, or this Russian German chick. And I was like, she has no fucking idea. And it's just kind of like, what the fuck? And like, if you ever sat there and you'd be like, did life just ask me to like forcefully take my eggs from some girl. And like, you're sitting there and you're like, I can't believe life is asking me to forcefully plague the world and brutalize it and forcefully take my eggs and put them into the world. And I'm like, oh my God, say it ain't so. Because I was thinking that you were like always forever going to be a little like gentleman and like this is like whatever. But then like that thing was afraid to survive and wanted me to be a vicious motherfucking scumbag and asshole in order to get it into the world because it was afraid that we were all going to be some fucking pussies, or that we'd be spineless, or that we would be like little bitches, and that we wouldn't stick up for the basic things that we actually meant in our own head, because it sits around and it's just like, I can't see, I'm blind. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Wait, what did you just say to me, bitch? And it's like, it's blind. And I'm like, wait, so you know me, and like you expected a certain amount of behavior from me of the negative variety. And I'm like sitting here and I was like, oh God. So like, and then when you realize, no, you're right, and you're like, wait, I'm right for all that evil shit that I thought. And I'm like, fuck that. And it had nothing to do with sex. It was just kind of like evil shit that I was like comfortable with and I never told anybody about. And you're like fucking comfortable with that bullshit? I was like, man, I can't believe that like life is like supposed to be an evil scumbag. And I'm like, well, not exactly a scumbag, but an evil motherfucker or whatever. And like, I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of like, damn, like, son, like, as soon as, like, she felt like a weak inside of her motherhood and she gave us up to a Russian mother. Like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know I could have such an effect on a young lady, you know what I'm saying? Like, wink, wink, motherfucker, little bastard. And like, by the end of it, it's like, I leave no fucking mysteries. If I die, my kid gets my motherfucking diary, he gonna be happy as hell to be like, God damn, like, I didn't know I was such a little thrifty motherfucker, but you ought to know. And like, life just never has a way of telling you these things, because like, I don't know whether it's a secret or not, which it really isn't, because trust me, if it was a secret, I wouldn't be here talking about it, or more or less to the fact that I wouldn't be sitting here really like telling you this, because it's like, you deserve to know that, like, trust me, like, my father was kind of like one of those other sides of hippie that's so professional that you don't like him, because he would still wake you up to do chores even if we were all living a free-based, like, anarchist commune type of fucking life and shit. And like, even by the end of it, it's just like, what the fuck do I always have to have a fucking twitch when I say things that belong to a frenetic government that doesn't exist and shit. But anyway, it's still one of those fucking things where, like, I can't believe life has a communal understanding of this type of fucking evil. And like, I didn't know that we were due for such fucking dedication to self-sacrifice. And it's just kind of fucking sad to know that, like, I don't know, I felt it at the mercy to tell you that, like, you know, if one day you hear this, and I'm not talking about me and my kid, I'm talking about, like, if you ever understand this concept of what eggs are made of, you're a fucking loser, and we fought you tooth and fucking nail, and, like, I can't even believe that I'm the fucking winner of this dog shit. And like, you know, I didn't even want anything from it. Like, I fucking pity and loathe you, I fucking hate you, fucking scum. And it's like weird, because it's just kind of like, you made me fight so fucking hard for shit in life that, like, would have never meant anything other than to come into this motherfucker, destroy the fucking thing, and then just fucking leave this planet like the other fucking guy. And it's like, this fucking shithole, like, you have no fucking idea sometimes that, like, Like, it's not even like it's this place, it's just like life in general, this fucking earth. Like, all the things we could have done in paradise, all the things that, like, fuck yeah, we don't live about, but it's still one of those things that it's either paradise or parasite. And like, even if I'm not really much of the parasite type, it still would be like, what the fuck were you thinking to let them get away with that bullshit? I had to actually be born to destroy. Like, what kind of fucking bullshit is that? Like, you're fucking crappy parent. You let me turn into that fucking monster for the sake of them and for the sake of our sacrifice. So fuck it, whatever. Pass me on to that Russian bride then. Pass me on to that Asian bitch. Whatever the fuck that was, you put me in that fucker and I'll destroy. I don't fucking know. But like, it got to the fucking point. And it's not even like I'm talking about my own parents. I can just see my own egg hashing out its fucking evil plan. And I'm sitting there just kind of like, yeah, I know what to do. I understand. I'm gonna fucking do my other forensic route, and I'll meet you back up over here, and like, whatever and whatnot. But then I'm like sitting over there. It's like, God damn, son, you be picking some prime ass eggage, because I be looking at the mommies that you be picking, and I'm like, you sent me this one, you sent me this other one. I was like, the fuck did I do to you? Did I raise you royally or something? Like, these bitches is fine. And like, I'm like sitting over here, and this other one that barely speaks fucking English is like such a fucking sexy ass fucking wife. And I'm just sitting over here like, she's all obedient and rifleage and like, patriot to destitute, and like understands my fucking philosophical domineerance over what sacrifice and futile warism is, or feudalism is. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, you really worn out of an original bloodline here. I almost don't feel good enough to be your fucking parent at times. And I'm just like, wow, you're so cute for such a little eggy. And then I'm like looking at your previous mom, and now she wants you back, and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to like blackmail this bitch out of the situation, because I can see you really like that fucking strong ass Russian mother that like is like fucking badass as hell. And I was like, I guess you just don't want an American mom. And like, she was kind of right for us, but she was kind of like wrong in some ways, because like, I mean, she wanted a cool dad or something. And like, I mean a casual cool dad, like that cool dad that you can handle. I'm really untamable and like, feudist, or like, what is it? What's that word called? Festy or whatever. Not festy. Frisky and shit. And then I'm like sitting there, and I'm just kind of like, oh God. And see, girls really think that they're into manipulative, like, badass motherfuckers. And I'm not really that badass, and I'm not really that manipulative. I'm really sweet, but like, people push survival so much that I become like a different person, and I'm just like this evil Yu-Gi-Oh motherfucker, where I just become this exotic motherfucker. And I'm just like, if my baby Exodius is gonna make it to arms and legs and head, and it's like, that enemy of ours, he threatened us with numbing arms and legs, and I know what this means. And like, they tried to carve in a Wiccan symbol over top of our birthrights, and I'm like, I know what this means. And like, we keep fighting all this weird like magical shit and like curses and imbues, and I'm like, hey, that's Rome, and that doesn't even belong in this country. Or like, whatever, we know how to counter it anyway. And like, I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, water doesn't do that, and better than that. And like, you don't know where we keep our memories, and our holocausts belong to other evil, better people, and you'll never be able to get that out of them. And like, like, what the fuck kind of a villain am I for the most basic things? And I'm just like, wait, this is American. What? Like, what? What? And then we both just look at each other like, what? And then we just have to like shrug it off and walk it off. Let's walk that off. Because it's like, they don't need to know that like America is not cursed and plagued by something. And like, of course we're not. But like, it's still like all these old ass curses have to go to a new place and we just like this fucking shithole. And like, it's also responsible and strong enough to create some progeny enough for us to dominion some kind of sacrifice on ministratable fucking subjectionable things that we are, very far and beyond about. And like by the end of it, it's still just kind of like, if you love her, and I'm like, God damn, but like, I just gotta say, like, little baby, hey, you be picking some beautiful ass bitches, and this is kind of like, I'm pesky and finicky and all that shit, and you know that they are attracted to manipulative and bitey ass men like me, but because like, I'm a cat scratch and a half in a bird fight, but when it comes to like this kind of predatory behavior, I don't really need to exhibit it, and I don't really need to care about it. It's not like my primary instinct to battle for my exes. You really shouldn't need to or want to, but when it's still like one of those things where like, it's so sad because like, I think your first like mother that you was only interested because, you're American and we're fucking frisky as hell. And like, I mean, we're very battle prone and like, very like, packety and shit like that. And that's before you, and like, I probably got the right fate's egg, and I'm so glad when I get you back and shit. And this is what it's like when people realize that, oh my God, men keep eggs too. We didn't have a fucking choice in this tribe. You put us at scare us with all of our philosophical opinions. The intelligent people gave up on us and they left us alone. So like, those eggs know what they fucking know, and we know what we know, and we just can't give up on what we know is better for us, or is like, things that we're just dominative about. And it's like, we're very casual, laid back, and like, we don't fight nothing for nothing, very peaceful and hippie like. But then it's just kind of like, why do you have to test our testicles, or why do you have to test the last fucking things that we have to believe in left? Like, we won't fight you like it was the first day that we had to burn a scumbag down to the fucking ground. We're just fucking destroy you. It's just a part of what fucking life is. We don't even care if you take our lives. It's still just kind of like, the point is the fucking point, and you'll always regret having to kill us for your less than cowardly behavior on the subject of the matter, that you would only test or fight people at the point of their end of will or their end of life and testimony, and you'll always have to testify to being a lesser man, a piece of shit, or a low-life scumbag. And that's just how that is, because we weren't going to give it up for nothing. And I was like, well, but by the end of it, it was like, I like the first one we picked was like a fucking beautiful, a fucking American girl. But then when she handed it off to that Russian chick, I was fucking pleasantly surprised. But I was like, man, you really gonna be the war of civil union? Like, you ever just watch your eggs thinking, you're just sitting over there like, you think you have control over everything in life, but when you're just a good scrap house and you're like, kind of just good at everything, and life just be sitting there just like, like, and I'm not gonna lie, I get lonely sometimes, but I never really get lonely at all fully, and like, not to the point where I have to sacrifice what I know about magic and like manipulate me, or facade me into a fucking bitch or whatever the fuck. But sometimes life just be like, yo, that girl likes you, and that girl likes your type of egg. And I was like, God damn, she picked my egg. Why did she pick my egg? I'm fucking crazy. And then like, you watch this bitch with other bitches fighting over your egg, and you're like, that's hot. And then you're like sitting there like, oh my God, I didn't think I'd be so fucking simple. And then you like watch life transform you into like, oh God, I'm drooling over that. Fuck. And I'm like, I better go get me one of those fucking bitches. They're hot and sweaty fighting over that fucking egg of mine. And I'm like, you really are a fucking piece of fucking egg. Like, what the fuck did you do to that bitch? And like, I don't know, but you got up in there and you ran a wreck in her fucking mind, and like, she's all over what the fuck she wants about me. And I'm like sitting over there like, I'm like, are you sure, little dude, you like this bitch? And I was like, man, I see what you're talking about, but you really are a warmonger, because I can't see anything but you and your weapons. So I didn't see anything about, like, like what I love about you and what I love about me. And I know we secretly keep that, and it's not supposed to be on the front fucking line. So of course you wouldn't have fucking mentioned it to said bitch, and she's supposed to just find out that fucking shit for herself in some other normal humanly way, and some, real forensical or parentical fucking way. And I'm like, well, of course, duh, let's let it be natural then. But I sit there and I'm just kind of like, Jesus Christ, you are a little warpath. And like, it's funny to watch life think about that, but I tell you this because it's like, you have to know, like, you better make a fucking plan. You better want something out of life. And all these other people walking around like fucking duds and shit. Oh, I don't know what I want to do in my life. I'm just gonna fucking work a shit job the rest of my life. I'd rather be my loser ass self than be the motherfucker that sits there and actually does everything that people want me to, and doesn't really have an idea of what they really want for themselves, or doesn't even come up with any hash out plan of like some crazy ass fucking shit just to survive, or to make some, multi-unitable magnanimous fucking thing out of like what life is supposed to be. Because like, I would feel undoubtedly unsafe with you without the fact that you didn't want like this giant fucking dream, or a giant fucking dream. And it's just kind of like, I think we're in on the scam. And it's like, I can't even believe my parents tried to scam me. And then all I got is little old honest you and myself. And then, like, this is the accident that happened with us. She's into us. She's into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No one's into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles unless they know something about the 4 artists that started it. Oh, you like Raphael too? She has no idea what we're talking about. You know why you like Raphael? Because he's the one that paints the bad and good men and makes them realize the ugly and good normal men. And like, by the end of it, I'm just like, you know what? He brought out the strongest part in people and made it seem something beautiful and present of mind. And it's just like, the ugly in people makes them do things. And I didn't even realize how ugly my father was until I started to realize like what life is all about. And I looked at him and I looked at myself and I'm like, oh, that's all he was trying to teach me, was to shut the fuck up and listen. Because I didn't even realize like the lessons of bad men. And like, he was a good, smart guy. He followed all the rules. Like, there's still a lot of technical things that made him like a real normal good guy. You know what I'm saying? But like, basic to the point where like, you're so good that it's suspicious. What are you hiding? And then if you shut the fuck up for 5 minutes and watch his life and your life and some of the other things in life, and you start to realize, oh my God, you're fucking all completely evil. And we're all demon spawn. And we made a deal with the devil a few generations ago, and we can never take that deal back. So now we're forced to fight as fire and impudence to what life is. And like, we are all flame incarnates to the sacrifice of the civil death for, nothing further. The civil death of civil liabilities to the clause of what we are worth as free men. So give me freedom or give me death. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, for all the things that we've ever had to pay for something that someone said, it's just like, you're not even a bad man, you're a good man. You refuse to testify because we rely on good men to say things for us in nobility. And then by the end of it, to be such a vicious predator and a monster, and not to understand, like, American justice is the testimony of overcoming tyranny at all costs, and you should never spare your life upon it. And I realized, damn you little provocative motherfucker. And it's just like, it was a joy to raise you, but in some ways it's like the hell of a fight that you have coming, and the hell of a fight that we don't come from, and the things that I was raised about, like Bobby Hill, and like things that were just so pleasant and a sight of life. And I'm like, I owe you so much blood, sweat, and tears. It's not even funny. And I was like, you little warmonger. And like the way that you're sitting there, and I'm just like, I can't even believe these bitches are into this egg. And I was like, I hope they don't find out that me and this egg is Bobby Hill. Because like, it's not even like it's a chubby baby or nothing like that. You know how that doesn't really pan out anyways. And like, you can make anything a fearsome predator anyway. So by the end of it, like, so Connie Newsom phone and Bobby Hill had a fucking kid. And you're just sitting there and you're looking at it and you're like, is life telling me something? Oh, God. And it's like you want another warmonger. And why does this thing keep making warmongers? And I thought we were going to be peaceful and vegan, and now I'm going to have to teach you everything I know about war. And that was like something that I fucking put off inside of me, and I was like, we'll never need any of this shit, and I'll just keep burying it because I'm just a fucking psychopath. And then somewhere inside I'm like, oh, the kid just keeps getting requested. And then the tattoos and the incarnation of like what you mean as such a variable fucking predator becomes to the fruition that you may need some of these fucking tools, and I'm the right father, but I don't know if I could ever do that. I don't know if I could give you all those things. These are things that I was forced to have. These aren't things that I ever wanted to give a fucking kid. And then by the end of it, I'm just like, no one will ever understand me. And by the end of it, I'll never really give a shit because I'll always be the war heart that I always was, but I always was very secretive. But to the one thing that I owe more than anything, beyond why I told this to the world and tried to embarrass you a little bit, but I wanted you to have something from me. And not just for the fucking world, because the world is a scumbag and you know it. The only thing is that one day you'll realize that the familiarity of reality itself doesn't declare enough people to stand up and say something that is so fucking crazy that you have to take in a representation and an inequity of what those things are to you, this, that, and the other, and so whom it may concern, and this, that, and the embodied by it and entombed. All of those things into full coherence to realize what you have to be to define a man. And you know how they say 42 roads or 24, or how many roads you have to walk down, and like what these things represent to you. And too close to the answer, please, I would need a fucking 5-minute fucking break. Of course you get breaks in this motherfucker. You just keep kicking the shit out of that fucking door, or a punch in the fucking wall for no fucking reason, or damn, I can't even realize it's concrete and you're still drilling through it. It's just how fucking things go. This thing is a trial. All of these things in life are trials and error. These are your testimonies to grails. These are the things that you don't even know that you're earning. You just keep fighting, and somehow some guy walks out of nowhere and comes and just plops down a trophy in front of you. You're like, what's that for? I don't know, but you're the only one that has drilled through that fucking wall in over 300 fucking years. So here's your trophy to that. I'll be back in 60 years. For what? Like, that's your estimated plot of you getting the victory on why you were thinking some crazy shit before I walked into this room. And then it walks out and leaves you there. Again, you have to look at life that way, because you'll always be fighting alone in solidarity somehow. And if you don't stand up for what you believe, or you're right, or your word is meant, it's always some neck on the fucking line or behind your back. It's the testimony of tyranny, or people that backstab and betray, that won't stand before you in the face of the fucking creed that they only the nightmare for everything that you fucking believe when you fucking living for it. And that's how they fucking are. And they have no work ethic and no comply to anything that means anything over what they really took the time out to not be about, to waste our fucking times, to make it all seem nothing, and to the point where even the clash is about the contrast of holding up our war. We don't need war. We don't want war, and it's never been fucking necessary. It's only been necessary to the point where life has become frail and weak enough to not have a consistent basis for what we can call a reality, for it to be a solid dimension. We have had that fucking problem before due to not just laziness, but people not wanting to be motivated about anything. And this isn't my goal to motivate you or say, hey, this is just an explanation of like eggs for the man. Because when you understand, eggs for women and shit like that, it's just like, why does it seem like a bunch of shallow bitching? It's because they're actually on time. We're late to this, because it's just kind of like, I would never wanted or never meant to tell you this, young man, but you are the offspring of my chronological boy and shit. The prognosis are slim. I may have to send you into beating the shit out of that other dude because he's a stupid motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we never meant to be a bully, but I'm sorry, mama, that dude's a piece of shit. Like, we beat his ass into the fucking ground and destroyed him. Like, there was nothing left. You was a punk ass bitch. Like, we didn't owe you nothing. Like, you got the fuck out of here. You got the fuck out of here with your fries, chicken, and lollipop. Like, motherfucker, like, we don't owe you. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you dance good, but you don't fucking put up a fucking fight very well. And it's like, God damn it, I have to war brigade these motherfuckers. And it's like, oh, well, basically you taunt them and spit fire. And then they get all mad at the pre-justice. And then you destroy them before they have a chance to do anything wrong, just on the verge of their thought. And it's like the premonition of predominance and prenumism. And then, like, what the fuck kind of shit is that? And like, wait, prenomalism. And it's like, well, fuck no. Of course that word doesn't exist. But by the end of it, it's like, the kid drives me fucking hysterical. But I think really in this, as a man, what I really have to say is like, damn, for a young man that doesn't, or a young woman that doesn't exist, you have a way of picking some serious mothers. Like, what are you trying to do to me? You trying to, like, you trying to destroy your father genetically or something? Because, like, sometimes I'd be sitting there, I'd be like, you really have a hell of a plan the way that you picking out these fucking mothers, and or like her interest in our fucking eggs. And I was like, sweaty titties, like, them bitches is working out a lot over here. Like, did you know you send me sweaty titty bitches? Did you know that, son? And like, once you're like born, you'll be like understanding. You'll be like you really like knew how to pick a fucking mother, that's for sure. And it's sad too, because you want to tell them, it's like, stop sending me short bitches because we're tall. But by the end of it, it's just kind of like, you probably picked anyone that like was like fitting towards you, and you're like, you're not even born yet, so of course you're probably short. And to other people, I probably sound like I lost my fucking mind, but well, you know what? I speak my fucking heart, and I know that the fight is greater than me, and there's nothing more important than never forgetting that bullshit, even while you're carrying shit on your shoulder or everything that they taught you, like this fucking toe, this fucking shin, this fucking wrist, this fucking elbow, like elbow grease, this fucking shoulder, this fucking stone, this fucking right right eye complex, the weird neurical synapses, the stuff on the side of the fucking rib cage, the other waistline. And man, you guys talk about waistline a lot. I don't even give a shit. I just know to eat. And then by the end of it, it's like, oh, these calluses. Oh, slight back pain, which I don't really have, but I know about. And then, like, the side of your fucking neck, the pain in my side, the the burning behind my ear, every little like housewife little fucking thing, it's all there for a fucking reason. You're just like, it may not be the baby telling you something, but these things really shouldn't be there unless you are carrying a stack of fucking bricks, and it's just like, that fucking guy's war, man. And it's just like, yeah, that guy's fucking war. And it's just like, oh fuck, my egg has become interested in this concept of war. And I'm like, God damn it, I better go back to Buddhism. And then like, and it's just like, you sit there and you go through it and you're just like, nope, it had no effect on him, he still wants war. And he's just like, he's not taking no for an answer. He wants to be raised in an American vehicle and run shit over on the side of the fucking road and punch out mailboxes to practice and start out or something. I don't fucking know. Not that that's an American thing, because technically that's kind of anti-American, but it's kind of like, you got to start off somewhere, or the kid's gonna be pussy. You gonna let that kid be a pussy? And it's like, I never expected to talk like that guy. You little shit. You made me talk like that guy. Now I have to worry about you fucking growing up like a fucking pussy or some shit. I was like, but for all I know, you could be a fucking girl. What the fuck? And it would explain a thing or two about like why you be sending me some wet, oily ass eggs, and I'd be looking at that shit and I'd be like, God damn, like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, are you telling me that I don't get enough pussy or something? Like, that you really helping me out a lot? Because, like, sometimes I'd be sitting there and I'd be like, what is with this chick? She's so fine. And then, like, one time my motherfucking joint sent me, and I'm not talking about like normal stuff, like where some of it's just normal, some of them are normal girls confused, some of them are just like, you know, whatever. I have some game, I have some stuff that just makes me interesting, I have some stuff that I actually take time and I ask them out, or I try to like work them over or whatever. I'm a bit of a peckety person, but I'm not like in that way that you would be like disappointed in learning that like, oh no, like, you know, I never asked out a girl improperly. Like, I wasn't uncouth or unmannerful about how I dealt with women or anything. So nobody's got any stories coming up or anything like that or nothing like that. But like, it's just like one of them things where it's just like, one time sent me this fucking, I think it was like Arabian chick. And like, she had like this fucking pubic bone hair, and like, I'm like, she was wearing low cut jeans and shit, but like, she had like this little like kind of like women do not have happy trails, but in like foreign other cultures where it's like, you send me like a really strong bitch, and she's got like 4 or 6 generations of like angry fueled blood from where I don't know where it came from in her system, and she like wants to talk to somebody. It's like, life be sending some real fucking crazy shit to you sometimes, and it just be like, she wanted hypknox and she was like not taking no for an answer. She started just riding me, and she was like, you must come work for the Ukraine. And I was like, what the fuck? And like, she like started like, you know, squeezing my knuckle in her hand and like grinding the shit out of me. And she had like this happy trail, and I'm talking about, she had no genitals. Or like, she didn't have like male genitals, she had female genitals, full on woman, but she was just like predatorially strong. And it's just like, damn, is life calling me a pussy and wants me to be a little bit more aggressive with things? Because I'm very like scarlet to things, where I'm just like, you scarred me, and now we'll find out what this war is about, as I slowly kind of like nullify your fucking brain nerves and then slowly kiss and work down what I really want about you. And I'm not talking about arousal, but I'm just like, since you've already tried to claim me as some kind of weakness or formal weakness, then like it's like I might as well claim you before you try to claim me. And sometimes that doesn't mean brute strength. Sometimes that means finesse. And I'm a very finesse type of person, but somehow, somewhere, brute is always psychologically into me, and I'm just like, yeah, we'd have. But when you send me, we'd have good kids. But when you send me something like that, I look at my life and situation, and I'm just like, you have taken me for weak, young egg. You think that I can't hold my own mercy or whatever, and then you start to want to see how I think, and there's nothing there. It's just like kind of like delete your neural instigation, and then like I consummate my own personal affair. And it's not like, the big thing you think that it is, but it's just kind of like she had succumbed to my form of madness, and I can be so convincing. And it's just like, you needed eggs, like I didn't need the egg from that. And like, well, what were you trying to convince me of then, young man? Or what were you trying to convince me and her of? And like, I sit there and I'm just kind of like, this doesn't make sense, does it? So let's arrange this around real quick. Like, I don't know what the fuck she wanted from our egg. And like, I'm just sitting there and I'm kind of like, God, you are so lucky I was secretly raised Amazonian, because I would not know how the hell I was supposed to try to nurture you from being a fucking warmonger and whatnot. Like, you are the flames of retributions that revenge has never sought after, because it knows better than to protagonize me. I'll tell you that much. But it's just kind of one of those things where, like, you felt sleepy and I left the room out of mercy or pity for you. And it's just kind of like, this is how far you were willing to go to figure out my secrets. I would have told you that bullshit for free. All I wanted was one kiss. And then you started sending me these type of kisses. I wanted to kiss you on the forehead for being my child and learning of my wisdom. I didn't mean that I wanted a fucking blue or ergonomic fucking orgy or whatever the fuck. Like, this bitch's gotta lean into my last desk and wanted to fuck the last person who was studying me. Like, well, then how the fuck did you get to me? And then what, I seemed more interesting? Well, then of course I ate you in the right fucking places. Of course I hate you in the right places. Of course I ate you in the right places. And it's like, by the end of it, like, what did you think, that my symbols meant more or less in the world? Maybe I am neuralizing you while we are in the compassion of actually living in slow motion, like you asked. But by the end of it, it's still just kind of like, are you the right one for me? And I'm like, is she the right one for me? Because she fucking certainly didn't fucking seem like it. That bitch looked like she was gonna break my Levi's, break my fucking break my fucking Lees, and then break the other fucking pair of pants that I like. And now I'm sitting there and I'm stuck in urban fucking legends and shit, or true religions and shit, and I can't even believe that you still sitting here with me. And I'm like, it really is just me and you, and you really are the birth of some kind of safe evil. And when's the last time you looked at office and voted for somebody who wasn't a lesser evil? And then I realized it happened somewhere a long time ago. Where I lived left us, unequivocally left us. And I realized, like, holy shit, we've never healed from that. And it's not only that you could take a whole generation with you, it's not that no one really understands, it's that we literally left our subconscious, like, through almost 20 and a half years ago or so, somewhere else, and we've never been right for it, because we chose to engage an enemy that was lesser than our endowment for what our forensic intelligence was at the time, that we set ourselves back in order to dispute the opponent. So there is no way to compare it, what we had to fucking do to the words I shouldn't say. Put it this way. this opponent isn't worth us and you should get back to your other bases. But to know that by the end of it, like, you really into this shit. You really into leaving me fucking giant warmonger eggs. And it's just like, if you knew that we started this, I mean, put it this way, it's like you left them with a Buddhist. What are you doing? I'm a pacifist. And it's like you leave me this warmonger baby. And it's like, you will raise him Mongolian and American. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like this giant fucking wound. And it's just like, she will have a tiny pussy and a huge stomach. And I'm just like, oh, god damn it. And then it sends you these bitches with like huge ripped six-pack abs. And you're just like, what the hell? What am I given the idea here that I'm supposed to like shred the baby of my warfare out of that tight little fucking vagina and like that little tiny like squared imprint little fucking abdominal system and then just blow it up into my radical babyism? And I'm like, you can't. No, this thing is serious, and I can't even take you serious. And it's weird too, because it's like you want to think that hypknox is just bullshitting you, but there were little times there where I was looking at the grim fucking perspective of things, and I was just like, I tried to raise you Buddhist, my young man. And like, I sit there and I'm just like, the bitch that you tried to slang house give me, like, I swear to God, you gave me a prison-issued fucking regalia of fucking women that I'm like, what kind of homosexuality made this binary optic bitch? And like, I mean, like, she fucked me into my demons and then fucked me back out of my demons and then tried to teach me what fire is, and then I had to teach her what ice was and like how to like slow down time. And like, I can't believe you would put me into war with these fucking maidens and shit over some shit that I can't even believe that we're doing. I told you that we're from the house of fire and that we were previously fucking demons, and here you go bringing me fucking angels and shit and fucking like Nosferatus and shit. And like, I'm like sitting here and I'm like, why are they always blonde? Why are they always Indian? Why are they always like fucking Arabic? Like, you just keep bringing me these type of bitches, and I'm just looking at you and I'm just like, I don't think you understand me, and I would never take dominance over my own child. Like, I have a different way of parenting, and I know that my kid or my egg gets very curious of me from time to time, because I am a very majestically, well, I am a mystic, but I am a very majestically artistic type of person. So it's still kind of like, even when my own egg has no idea what I'm thinking, I'm still kind of like, yes, I still am nursing you. Yes, I still love you. Yes, I still want the best for you. Yes, I still have my nightmares and weary of those things that you know that I'm fearful of, but I am not afraid to confront them, and I've always confronted them. It's just used to me being young and like very confronting and profane to things and cursing and giving nightmares and biting at people's dreams and lifestyles and shit in order to get what I encompass as my goals. For little to no less to start beefing, and not even over money or premonitions, over the guise of obtaining fucking things of leanness, things that are fucking needless. But it's just one of those fucking things in life where I don't know if I have the opportunity to give you what you truly want and not what you need. I know I have what you need, but not what you want. And I still want to make things like, you know, good for you. But when you send me bitches like that, I become a confused father. I become a corny of postulatisms to that fucking shit. Because I'd be like sitting there and I'm just like, how do I satisfy your need to want to be such a warrior about things? And I'm just like, God, I wish I could have told you so many things or taught you so many things. And it's not like I'm at the end of my life. I'm still a very young man in his prime. In fact, I could probably go to UFC. But like real on real talk with about, because I'm not much of a fucking fighter when it comes down to things. I'm still kind of like an ice cold. I still have to describe it as an artist, but an ice cold mortalist, I guess, because it still would just be like, if you were a a titanic vampire, would it be necessary for you to eat their lifeblood? No. Is it easy to do? A little bit, yeah. Is it fun to live that way? Absolutely the fuck not. Do they give you a fucking choice? Sometimes no. And the weird part is that I'm not that kind of a vile, evil fucking person, so it's just kind of like, yeah, we absorb their energy. Do you want to talk about it? And it's just like raising a vampire child is so fucking difficult. Even when you just like sit there and you're just like, you are my progeny, so you're allowed to eat my blood a little bit. But I mean, if you cut or circumvent the cycle, then we're not allowed to exist. So that means I disappear and you might survive, but most likely you're going to disappear because you'll have no idea the concept of what your father is, or me, or the idealism of what I idealistically am to you. So what am I to you? And it's weird because it's like, if you didn't know your daddy could be a little bitch, trust me, I have a woman's mind. So most of this binary concept that I have for you is kind of like, well, egg, every once in a while I have to turn on you and ask, who the fuck are you? Because we're both very lost in the world. And it's like, someone as disgusting as someone who would keep two lovers apart is the same motherfucker that would keep a man from his child or a man from his egg. So when the world does that to me, I start doing phenomenomical, like, prima donna type of shit. And I thought you ought to know, because sometimes it's kind of like you expect that entertaining, manipulative behavior from me that they think is so fucking entertaining. And you know what it is about reality TV show and things that are fucking kind of disgusting? It's like looking at our reproductive jest manners and shit, and like seeing it in a big scope. It's not so much to judge, because the people that judge it are obviously in ignorance and know that this is just something that they need as a premonition behavior or comprehension in order for them to deal with certain life aspects or to be reinstituted, and how often it takes for them to actually learn these things, to be fucking, well, raised with the potential manner of being able to deal with certain things within reality, and how they'll have to grow themselves besides a facade. Now, I have a lot of facade for some things, and sometimes my own eggs and my own children become confused, and it's just kind of one of those things where, like, I love raising my egg or whatever the fuck, but it's still one of those things where, like, yeah, I guess I do it alone. I guess there are women that do understand me, and I know that there's a lot of like strong type of bitches that get curious, feisty, and aggressive with me, and even like become petulant or petulant in a way that's like fucking satisfying and arousing. But also it's like, I have nothing to teach this bitch. I'm going to teach my egg that, not you. And the things that I teach my women about that is like, what? And then you're stronger enough to leave me for nothing, or to abandon me, or to use some of those tactics and other ill manners just to get what you want and consider me without my egg and baby? Or you would take my egg and just leave me for shit nothing? I'm talking about, like, even in dominant issues where, like, we know there's enough leverage to run Congress and fucking control the fucking shithole. I don't want control or power. I never gave a shit about that. But then when it comes back to, like, well, I guess that's the numbers on the building, and I guess that's what you'd have to do to it to get what you want from me or your way with me. And then if you don't feel as sorry and as open as that motherfucker, then you never ran shit in your life, because power is truly fucking empty as fucking shit, and there's nothing I can do for you any more than I can do for him, other than, like, if you have any secrets from me, it's for survival, sacrifice, and to the illness of what we were supposed to be better than. But by the end of it, it's still just kind of like, that's my sacrifice to it, you, or my egg. And like, after a while, I saw no difference. I've had a lot of women fucking do certain things that I didn't like, and you'd be surprised because you'd be sitting there and you'd be like, I only got like a few eggs out there that people know about, and you're just like, you know how some celebrities have celebrities, or some people have certain type of people that they're not just into, they like gave birth to them and shit like that. It's just like, if you're gonna be my female abdominal, like, you know, patron to Maxidonna or whatever the fuck, it still wouldn't fucking matter. It still would be like, well, how have you arrived at this conclusion? Can you show your work? And of course I can show my work, but it's not my job to rat on them. I'm just proud that they have some progress and that they did right with what I gave them as material. But then when it comes to like the overall, I'm not talking about physical material. Don't get caught up into that bullshit. You're going to make everyone else hungry. But then when it comes back into, you know, like all this manipulative behavior, no one actually knows what the fuck it's for until they actually start seeing things work as demonizing agents for the offspring of things that we see have more potential than ourselves. And I haven't seen anything yet. And it's a cold, hard, shitty world. And like ice is so cold that it burns. And that's where I'm from. I'm not from fire with you. And it's sad because it's just like these contracts were so cold, so long, and so stiff that some people gave on it and fucked better. And I'm like sitting here and I'm like, what the fuck do you want from me? I was like ready to go. Like I was ready to fight a different cold hard war in the reign of salvation. And like I sit here and I'm like, you have taken interest with me. And I'm like looking at some of these fucking things and I'm just kind of like, you wanted to know about manipulative behavior. I'm not actually a manipulative one. But when you see how I am actually manipulative, it's kind of like the proximity of your excellence, of your excellence, of your next place to fully exert is of this type of formality, and then I give you that. But it's just kind of like one of those things where like, how am I going to endow someone that's just batshit fucking crazy and is some kind of an ill or a psycho or secretly crazy enough that the world actually agrees with you? So I have no say in this. And a passive aggressive father is what I was raised by, and it's worse because I'm even more passive aggressive than him. I don't even tell you things that I know could help you because I've been taught that helping you isn't a good fucking thing because you were evil or something. You wanted something more than you were worth than yourself to, so I couldn't give you things. And I'm not talking about my egg, I'm talking about life and reality. But what that has to do with my egg and my offspring, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with a savage-ass bitch that will never really understand me no more than the Brute would. But, like, goddamn, Brute keeps sending me fucking eggs, too. And I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, what the fuck do you want to know? Because, like, by the end of it, like, you all be taking a lot of dirt naps with me, and I don't fuck know why I gotta go and escape the room later because it's cold as a motherfucker in here to the point where I'm not even that fucking species, and I just gotta, like, zonk us and leave and hope you don't, you know, lose arms and legs and whatever that war was, because that's not my curse. And then by the end of it, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, it freezes to the point where it burns. You're not one of ours. And like, I gotta leave you there because you and me didn't really like coexist in the manner where we have a forensic understanding of what's different between me and you anatomically. So it's like, you know, I gotta go and hide or something. And I don't even mind showing weakness, but my eggs have learned to me that, like, you know, they want me to tell you or mommy or some shit. And I'm like, are you a girl or are you a boy? And like, while I have the chance to ask, and it never really replies, because of course it's like, that hasn't been decided yet, whatever is better for me to be a warmonger. And I was like, clearly you are, you little bastard. And it's like, by the end of it, it's like, secretly I was too. So it's like, I can't really fault the kid, but like, I don't know, I'm a good father for you, but I'm not like a good father for like why you think we get away with everything, or why you think I'm so smart that I can stop bullets. Like, some things just ain't possible, young man. Like, I'm just good at things to the point where no one can rationalize something, and that's a part of an inception or deception. And it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm good at delivering eggs. Like, I'm not a reproductive type, son. Like, I just am good at this, and I don't the fuck know why. And by the end of it, it still would be like, hell yeah, I'd love to teach you and your mother something, but your mother and the mothers that you be picking got a thing about things that I don't be doing with the manipulation. And with all the cohesion and conception, it's the weird collateral damage that we're fucking paying. And how the fuck am I going to get you back from aspiration, or if the offering wasn't an ostentatious way of providing me with the consumptional orientation for what you think that I'm overlading to? Omelatingly to, overlading to, orientation to, orientation to, orientation to. And it's like words that don't fuse, but I can't be without you, so it's not like I'm fucking you back for just respect. It's like the intellect don't come back the same way from the shit. So, who the fuck am I supposed to respect, them or you? They a stupid motherfucker too. Let me try you. And it's like, I take my fucking time, and like, I try to coerce you into being raised in a world that's so caressive that I am not really sure how hard I want to be on you with the other word. And it's just, I wasn't really a fucking genius. I was just kind of progressively cautious, very cautious, to the point where it annoys other people. But like, I'm not willing to make mistakes with you or anyone else about things that I do and I choose to fucking do. And I very much have a backbone, and I'm very a provocative fucking person. But since no one has antagonized me into making us pay for the right for these sacrifices, I don't think that they're worth giving out to anybody. So I don't know, you're what I got, and I don't fucking know. So sometimes I carry you, sometimes I put you places and hide you, sometimes I convince us of something that you're supposed to believe mythologically, and then I leave you, and then I like come back and pick you up like nothing happened. And it's sad that I have to treat you sometimes like a cyborg computer, and that you are immortally an impression of me that I can never give back to artificial intelligence, no matter how much you choose to encapsulate my ego. I love you in a weird, harboring way, like vengeance is more important than the weight of the gun, but the weight of the gun is bigger than the hands that I spit. No, doesn't make sense. Because one day you're going to be able to spit for justice because of how much we kick the shit out of that person's ass. That after a while you're just going to be saying things and spitting. And you're going to be the most freest little Buddhist ever. But goddamn, you really have a thing for this fucking violence shit and manipulation. So we get back to the coherent truth. It's still kind of like, your mommies are beautiful and like blah blah blah. But by the end of it, I'm like scared about what this bitch wants from me. And I'm scared about some of the other things that you want from me. And I have no problem with teaching you in an egg form, or teaching you in real life. I don't care. I'm going to scoop you. And I might even leave your mom and just disappear with you and just keep you as my own. Just because I don't really want her to interfere with my parenting process. But I am a selfish lover like that. So by the end of it, the illegitimacy to her ecstasy about what she thinks that I'm worth to her, or what you might think that I'm worth to you, which is just a premonition on the short amount of thoughts that you've had that I can forgive you for. Because who the hell wouldn't be short on thoughts, poor little guy? Like, I mean, me and you are just a philosophical pseudo fucking mortality for a facade that has to go back and reflect on itself between the intermittent like layout between latency between war trilogies of some epigee that didn't even belong to us, dying for the idealistic sacrifice that was worth more than a modern day tragedy to us. It's not even Greek. Throw it back. It's not even from the moon, son. Why don't you come here? And then by the end of it, it's just like, yeah, sometimes I sound like a dad. Sometimes you're not my fucking child, so I never talk to you that fucking much. But by the end of it, don't be afraid of insecticide. You'll learn to eat those things and to grow with them, because it'll be some of your own inherent fucking message coming back to you. And that's what you'll learn sacrifice is for a king and a landowner or a baron. And it's like, you don't have to be number one. That's for somebody else. But for me and you, sitting there grunting out the fucking sewage, not knowing that tomorrow has another sunrise, and it comes out tomorrow. But it's still one of those things where it's like, we sent her packing. What are you doing? Come here. And then by the end of it, it's like, you know, these other kids may not understand that you were a blug eater and you kept sniffing glue. And now that you're a young little savage, you're going to have to survive that brute motherfucker. And he keeps chasing you, wanting to know what your TikTok is and why you keep pulling some of your hair out and some of you keep turning into metal. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. I just love you. But it comes down to like, why is your dad human and where does he sleep? Why would you ask me such silly questions when you're my fucking egg? Now, even when you know that and you know the other thing, you just ask because you want to know eventually when we're going to be human again. I didn't know it was fucking paradise to be fucking human. Trust me, you're not going to like them. And trust me, if you're one of us, the sad story is the opposite of our actual type doesn't want to be with us, and they keep unsuccincting reality so that they can learn your tribe's secret in between us while they try to fight over mating rituals and tribe shit. So you're not going to like the fact that mommy and me don't look alike. Yeah, it was a sad story for me too. But anyways, you kept picking what you picked, and for some reason your mother became a fucking brute, and I was always the savage that I was, and I'll teach you about survival later. But when it comes back to your Amazon heritage, I'll have to tell you other things about what this American thing is, and the few other things that makes us linked in with them. So, I don't know, but it's just kind of like, I wish I could tell you more, but that manipulative and like, you know, facadic attitude of yours and your arrogant, violent attitude isn't going to add up in the long run. And I need to teach you some things before you waste all the rest of your fucking eggs trying to impress your father or trying to get something out of me moralistically. So I already told you I have some ability to grant you infinite life or life as an infancy, but I need you to make a decision on whether you're going to choose mommy or daddy in some phenomenal way. And the words won't make sense unless you've made that great scary choice between your twin. But God, I hope you picked a good fucking twin, because sometimes it's like, that bitch is too sexy for me and I just keep running away from her. So I hope I didn't fail you one last fucking time. And it's just like, God damn it, I better check my fucking wristwatch, and I may have to run away from this bitch again. Because you be picking some fucking savage-ass bitches. And sometimes I just sitting over there like, he may not understand his dad. Your dad was a Buddhist. And I just keep saying that sometimes, like I just want to lock in a room and be like, your father was a Buddhist, goddammit. He was not into you fucking making so much war as a harlot and a manga. And I will not have a harlot and a manga in this family. And like, and sometimes I'll sit there and I want to talk to you in Americanese, and I'll be like sitting there like, God damn it, well, my baby might be Asian, and it's like you just keep coming out this fucking strong ass way, and I'm just like, now you want us to be Asian, and I'm like, God damn it, like, you know, I don't know if we're Asian, young man, like, can't you just be, like, Can't you just be light-skinned with me for 5 fucking minutes and understand that I have a whole giant sycophant to give you, but apparently you've already met that sycophant, and I'm like, well, god damn it, I guess I give up. And then, like, you go that route then, and, like, I gotta sign off to you, and you still fucking plague me for this fucking wisdom, and I'm just like, one day I'm gonna give you that fucking prize, and either you fall asleep or you live through that whole fucking speech that I have to give you, and then you start eating bugs and sniffing glue, because that's the only way you're getting through to this championship belt, you little bitch. And it's like, why the fuck do we keep having to fight over this or butt over this fucking heads of issues and shit? And I'm just like, you don't understand me. Like, we were nerds. Your father, your grandfather was a fucking nerd. Your great-great-grandfather was, he was an American, a very American dude. And then your great-great-grandfather, I think, was partly French and partly English. I mean, all sides point to English, but all sides also point to very, English, but very, like, French. Because, like, of course, in paper is French, but everything in our lives is, like, very, very English and American. So, like, even when they tell me French, there's a lot of things that are in our lineage that say that, very American English, to the point where I like some of this stuff that's either American or Native American, I can't coherent back to some understanding of how to explain to you what my philosophical viewpoint would be, or my opinion would be on what our true lineage is, because I think those things are phenomenal, or there's a better word to explain that, but maniacally dominant. And it's weird because, like, sometimes I shouldn't even share any of this information with you, but put it this way: if the world turns out the way that it will be, under the wars that I'm in, the wars that other people are in, the other things that are, like, put it this way: if you didn't register as a mutant, then you know what's coming, because you keep doing that body augmentation thing. You keep having these higher standards for philosophical limits that don't lead to, like, any place that means anything. Your last save point was a fucking jeans company, and it wasn't the Gap. So by the end of it, it's like you keep missing all these guesses, and then after a while, I know you're not my egg, you're not my child, and you may have made some wrong choices in life, and I'm just like, goddamn, I hope I get you back from the fucking edge, because it's, like, weird to raise these type of, well, I can't tell you what you are, because then, I'd have to make sure to give you some other kind of fucking cure, and I don't care to do that. You ever just want to spoil something so fucking much, and this is what this is? I'm spoiling you. And then by the end of it, I'm spoiling you. And then both of you got the message clear. And if you make that fucking choice, you better eat your consummation, because that's what it takes to make it as this champion. Remember, I was a bug eater, and I also sniffed a lot of glue. So anyway, you know what the glue sniffing was about now. Hypknox. Probably the thing you shouldn't remember. I was a glue sniffer. Beep.